The night was warm. The pool glowed blue under soft lights. Marcus Ellison sat back in his chair, pen resting on his old leather journal. Gentle jazz played in the background. This was his routine. His way to slow life down. Then came a sound. Boots scraping on stone, heavy, intentional. Two men stood at the gate. Their uniforms looked stiff. Their voices were sharp. "Open up! HOA inspection." Flashlights cut across the water, breaking the calm. Marcus stayed still. He rubbed his wedding ring once. His eyes steady. Something felt off. Their radios gave only static. Their badges caught the light, shining like cheap tin. One man hit the gate harder, his voice louder. "You hear me? Now!" The peace was gone. Pressure filled the night air. Curtains moved. Neighbors peeked from the dark. But no one stepped out. Marcus waited, silent. He had seen this act before. Authority with no weight. Power with no truth. Then he rose from his chair, tall, calm, unshaken. One question hung in the air. Who were these men, really? And what would happen when they learned whose door they had just knocked on? Marcus Ellison built his life on discipline and quiet strength. He was 47. He could have lived anywhere, a penthouse, a beach house, even a mountain cabin. But he chose this quiet neighborhood. Neat lawns, still nights. He wanted peace. Most evenings were the same. A leather journal on the patio table, soft jazz playing low, Marcus turning his wedding ring slowly while he thought about the day. The pool lights glowed on the stone. Ripples moved gently against the walls of his home. Here he found balance. Neighbors noticed him, not always kindly. His success stood out in a place where most liked things simple and familiar. The HOA noticed, too. Letters about a guest parked too long. Reminders about rules that others seemed free to ignore. Marcus let it pass. He had bigger battles in life, but small irritations pile up. One letter after another. One meeting with whispers that turned into stares. Still, Marcus stayed calm. He kept his routine. Never gave them what they wanted. Reaction. Tonight felt no different. A quiet night by the pool, cicadas humming, the smell of jasmine in the warm air. Marcus leaned back, closed his journal, and reached for his glass of water. Then came the sound. Boots on stone, flashlights cutting through the dark, voices claiming authority. This was not just another complaint. This was something meant to break his peace. The two men stepped closer. Their boots scraped on the stone deck. Flashlights swept across the water, the chairs, then stopped on Marcus. One of them barked, "Pool hours are over. Against HOA rules. You need to clear this area now." Marcus stayed quiet. He closed his journal and set it aside. His calm made them uneasy. They wanted fear or excuses. Instead, they got silence. The taller man shook the gate, rattling the latch like he belonged there. The shorter one fidgeted, touching the brim of his cap. His radio hissed, but no voice came, just static. "We asked you a question," the tall one pressed. "Are you a resident here?" "Show us your ID." Marcus stood, slowly, his frame steady in the pool's glow. He touched his wedding ring, a small habit. His eyes never left theirs. He knew what this was. Not rules, not order, just presence. His presence. Curtains moved nearby. Neighbors watching from the dark. Faces half hidden. No words. That silence told the truth louder than speech. Everyone knew what was happening. No one stepped in. The shorter man pulled something from his belt. At first it looked like a citation pad, but the paper curled, cheap, like it was printed at home, Marcus noticed. Then he asked, quiet and firm, "What department are you with?" No answer, just shuffling feet. A cough, then louder demands. "ID now," their voices rose, trying to sound strong. But the cracks showed. This wasn't law, it was hostility. What would you do in Marcus's place? Stay quiet, argue, or stand firm in silence? The tall one pushed the gate open. He stepped inside. His flashlight shone straight into Marcus's face. "Last chance, cooperate." His words tried to sound official. His hand shook. Marcus breathed out. Slow. His pool, his home, his peace, now turned into a stage for someone else's false power. The truth was clear. They weren't here for rules. They were here to say he didn't belong. The shorter man muttered, "Just search him, man." Get it over with. The night seemed to pause. Marcus stepped forward. His shadow stretched long across the deck, longer than their lights could reach. The men froze, waiting for a fight. But what came next was no fight. It was something they never expected. Marcus took one more step forward. The tall man froze. His flashlight shook against Marcus's chest. The beam flickered across the water. The air grew heavy with silence. Only the soft jazz from the speakers still played. Then Marcus moved, slow, calm, sure. In one motion, he reached out and pulled the fake badge from the man's chest. He lifted it toward the pool light. The cheap plastic glinted weakly. He turned it in his hand so they could see. Their act was exposed. His voice was steady, low. This isn't authority. This is fraud. The tall man tried to speak. No words came. The shorter man stepped back. His radio slipped from his hand and clattered on the stone. The sound echoed through the night. Marcus kept his eyes on them. No shouting, no rush. He didn't need it. His calm was stronger than any threat. Now, he said even quieter, you will walk away. Before I make this official. For a moment, they stood frozen. The pool lights showed the fear in their faces. Then it broke. The false power fell apart. The short man ran first, boots thudding on the patio. The tall one stumbled after him, cursing as he pushed through the gate. They ran. The night swallowed them. Their flashlights jerked wildly, then vanished in the dark. Only the sound of retreat remained. Marcus stayed still. The fake badge dangled from his hand. The pool water rippled softly, untouched. His breath slowed. His shoulders eased. He had protected his peace, not with anger, but with presence. If this moment struck you, share it so others see the power of calm over false authority. Marcus looked at the badge one last time. He dropped it on the stone. It hit with a hollow sound, empty, like the men who had worn it. But he knew the night was not done. This wasn't just intimidation. It was a message. And messages, he thought, always have senders. Marcus stayed by the pool for a while. He listened as silence returned. The night air carried the smell of jasmine again. The cicadas sang steady in the dark. The chaos was gone, but the weight of it still sat on his chest. He bent down, picked up his leather journal, and opened to a clean page. Slowly, he wrote one line. Even peace must sometimes be defended. His handwriting was firm. Each letter anchored him in the truth of the night. The fake badge still lay on the stone. It glinted weakly under the pool lights. Marcus placed it inside the journal. Not as a prize, but as a record. A reminder that false power can slip into ordinary places, and that it must be faced without fear. The next morning, he spoke with the real authorities. Calm, measured, with the same quiet strength he had shown by the pool. Now the story was no longer about harassment. It was about exposure. Masks had fallen. Lies had been caught. And word spread quickly through the neighborhood. Curtains that once only watched in silence now shifted differently. Some neighbors gave him a nod, respect mixed with guilt. Others turned away, avoiding his eyes. Their silence spoke louder than words. Marcus did not need their approval. What mattered was his ground, his home, his dignity, his peace, still whole, still his. A larger truth hung in the air. Real power is not in loud threats or fake uniforms. Real power is presence, truth, refusing to bend when hate demands surrender. That night he closed his journal with steadier hands. Pool lights rippled across his face as he whispered to himself, "This home will remain mine. This peace will remain mine," hope returned. Not as a rush, but as a steady current. For those who heard his story, it carried a lesson. Calm strength can break cruelty. For more true stories of resilience, subscribe and join this journey. Marcus had won without violence, without hate, only with presence. And one question remained. When false power knocks on your door, how will you answer?